so the last part of this chapter is 1.5, infinite geometric series. So we know it's geometric, so it has a, what, D or R? R, common ratio. Infinite means it does what? It goes on forever. Oh, that's kind of weird. So here's a question for you. Can we calculate the sum of an infinite geometric series? If the number goes on forever, can you calculate the sum of it? Well, I don't know. Well, let's find out. Okay. So what happens is the formula, do you have to memorize this formula either? No, it's on the sheet. What's this little symbol mean? Infinity. That's what's infinite. Basically, here it is. T1 over 1 minus R. What's T1? What's R? Common ratio. Okay, so let me explain this whole thing by doing an example. This is really kind of an interesting way of looking at this. You have a piece of string. The piece of string is 1 meter in length. Okay? You take the piece of string and you cut it in half. How much do you have now? A half and a half. Okay, now, you take that half, cut it in half again. Now you have a quarter, so you have a half of a half, right? Take that quarter, cut it in half again. An eighth, 16th, 32nd, 64th, 128th, 256, right? 1/5/12. Now, here's the kicker. You just keep doing that forever and ever and ever. Now, physically, is it possible to do that? No, it gets to a certain point, you can't cut it in half again, right? But mathematically, can you keep taking a half each time? Yeah, the fraction just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Is that correct? Okay, in reality, you can't do it. Mathematically, yeah, we can. Okay, so let's do this. I want to show you something. So, what's the formula? F. If you remember the formula, that would help. S infinity. Oh, okay, well here. Yeah. Let's see. Is T1 over 1 minus R. Okay, what is the first piece when you cut it in half? You got a meter and you cut it in half. What's the first piece? A half. Okay, so that's our half. 1/2. 1 minus, okay, now what is R in this case? What are you doing every time? Timesing it by 0.5, right? Timesing it by a half. So R in this case is a half, isn't it? Okay, let's do the math. This is really tough math, guys. What's 1 minus a half? A half. What's anything divided by itself? 1. Oh, so what's our answer? 1. Okay. Now think of that for a minute. But this is really interesting because this is almost theoretical math. This is like thinking beyond this thing. How big is the stinking piece of rope to start with? 1 meter. If you keep cutting it in half, if you took all those little bits and pieces and stuck them back together, how much do you end up with? 1 meter. It's not going to get any larger, right? It can't, unless you're a magician or something like that. But if you take a piece of rope and keep cutting it in half, if you put all those pieces back together, you still end up with the original amount of 1 meter. Does that make sense? Isn't that the sum of all the pieces? Isn't that the sum of an infinite series? Because mathematically, you can keep cutting that rope in half. Physically, can you? No, it gets too small, right? Yeah. So what we're talking about here is you can take a series, and you should be able to add up the sum. But sometimes you can't. And there's 2 different ways of thinking about it, and that's the bottom part here. So there's convergent and divergent. What does it mean to diverge? What does it mean to converge? What was that? What's the definition in French? Probably the same as in English.
Yeah, but it's just like the words translated.
Actually, the words are almost very similar in French, aren't they? Yeah, convergent means the same thing, right? To converge or convergence, right? What does it mean? To come to a... Hey, let's all go, leave the classroom, and converge at the library. What does that mean? All of us are going to the same point or same place. We are going to leave this classroom and diverge. What does that mean? Go somewhere else. Go different directions, right? To diverge means to, like if you diverge your education, right, you're going to take different things. Converge means you focus on one thing. To converge, right? Bang. Diverge is this way, outward. Okay, now, think about that for numbers. So a divergent series is where the sequence of terms does not approach any number. It goes and it keeps getting bigger, right? So let me give you an example. Divergent. How much room did I give you between the... There's a little bit of room. So divergent would be something like this. 2, 4, 8, 16, and so forth. What is R in this case? What's R? Now think about this for a minute. This is getting larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. Could you ever find the sum of that? No, it would be impossible. You can't find the sum of a series that's getting larger all the time. So the R value will not be between -1 and 1. Is it outside that range? Another way to look at it is this. The absolute value of R is greater than 1. What's absolute value mean, again, by the way? Grade 9. Absolute value. It's a positive number. Basically, it's the distance from 0, and distance is always positive. So whatever value of R you take, because you can have R's that are negative, right? Didn't we do some last week that R's were negative? So if the R value is greater than 1, the absolute value of it, it is known as a divergent series. And can you find the sum of this guy? No way. No dice. You cannot. Okay. So a convergent series is the opposite. 1, a half, quarter, an eighth, and so forth. Okay? What's the R value for this one? Half. So R is half. So look at this. We start at 1 and we just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Infinitely, right? What it does is it actually is approachable. So a convergent series is a series where the sequence of terms does approach a certain number. It can be calculated. And the R value is between 1 and -1. So in other words, the R value is less than 1. And the R value, is it less than 1 in this case? Yeah, it's a half. Okay. So when you're calculating these, you want to be able to find convergent and divergent series, like of infinite sums. The first thing you always need to calculate is you need to know what R is. Because R will tell you whether or not you can even do it. Okay? So, all this stuff at the beginning here is basically what we just said. Therefore, it has to be between R is less than 1. If R is less than, the absolute value of R is less than 1, you can calculate it. If the absolute value of R is greater than 1, you cannot. Less than 1, calculate. Greater than 1, not. Less than 1, calculate. Greater than 1, not. Got that? That's something you need to put on your strategy sheet? Okay, let's do the last 2 examples on the next page. Hey, calculate the sum of each series, if possible. So what do we got to do first? What do we got to find out? We got to find R. What is R in this case? -1/3. You are correct. -1/3. And if you can't calculate, basically take a half divided by a -1/3. Take -1/3 divided by +1, right? -1/3. That's what R is. Okay, now, here's the question for you. If we take the absolute value of that, is that number greater or less than 1? Sorry. Is it less than 1 or greater than 1? Less than 1. So, can we do this? What kind of series is this called? What? Now, these are all infinite, but which one? Convergent or divergent? Convergent. We can figure it out. So this is a convergent series. Convergent So can we calculate the sum? Yes, we can. So now what do we do? Write down the formula. There's a T1 over 1 minus R, is that correct? What's T1? What is it? 1? Well, that's tough. And what's R? Some pretty tough math so far, isn't it? Really, this math is quite easy, isn't it? You just, the key part of this is whether or not you can calculate it or not. That's what you have to know. 1 divided by 4 over 3. Now, how many times people, okay, here's a question for you. When you see those, a number over a fraction, do you hate those? What honestly do you hate about them? Just be honest about it. That. People don't like those for some reason. I'm just wondering why. Does it look scary? Okay. So it's hard to get a single number. Now watch. I want to show you something. If you don't like that, rewrite it. What does this technically mean? 1 divided by 4 over 3. Well, do you like that better? That first one and that second one are exactly the same thing. They're just written differently. Oh, but we know how to deal with division of fractions. It's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Oh, remember this now? So 1 times 3 over 4. What's 1 times 3 over 4? 3 over 4. Okay. So what is the sum of this convergent series? What's the sum? 3 over 4. That's it. You're done. Easy, difficult, what do you think? The hard part is deciding whether or not you can do it. That's going to be the hard part. Let's look at the next one. Okay, first thing we got to do is we got to calculate our 8 over negative 4. What's our? Negative 2. Take the absolute value of it, and is that greater than or less than 1? It's going to be greater than 1. So we calculate this. What's it known as? Divergent series. We cannot calculate the sum. If you wish you were all that way, then you wouldn't have any work to do, would you? Okay, so when we're talking, guys, here, infinite, and it has to specifically say infinite, right? You have to decide, first thing, you have to decide whether or not you can calculate the sum. So you have to find R. If the absolute value of R is less than 1, you can do it. If the absolute value of R is greater than 1, you cannot. Yeah? Simple? Yep. You have the rest of this class, which is a lot of time, 45 minutes to work on the questions. I will get the review together for you and hand that out also soon, because we're going to do the review tomorrow. Oh, let me give you the questions. Yeah, I'll tell you in a sec.